Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Johanna and welcome to my cozy book space. For today's video, I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. I didn't get a chance to do a mid-month wrap up, so today we're going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of February. I read 22 books in the month of February, so let's get right into it. First book that I ended up reading in the month of February was Cupcakes for My Enemy by Honey Phillips. This one I ended up giving 4 stars to. I really loved it. We have our hero Grandar and our heroine Alara. Grandar is an orc and Alara is a human woman. Alara ends up leaving her corporate city life to move into this small town to open up a coffee shop. What makes this town really special is that this town is heavily populated by monsters such as orcs, trolls, vampires, you name it. So our hero and our heroine end up meeting because our hero owns a bakery right next door to Alara's coffee shop. Grandar ends up running over to the coffee shop when he smells smoke because there is a fire because Alara had left something burning for too long. They definitely butt heads. They definitely have this very argumentative banter back and forth, but I ate it up and made the book fly by. We have the grumpiest of the grumps of heroes. He was previously burned by a human woman, so he doesn't really trust them, and so he's trying to keep our heroine at a safe distance. He really doesn't want to get into it with her or like be with her, even though he's really attracted to her. Our heroine, she just finds him so attractive and kind of wants to be in his space, and she's definitely our sunshine heroine. I love this so much. I loved that the hero was a baker. He would bake cupcakes, and there's this really cute scene where the heroine tries to bake something for him and it goes you know, it's so funny. I really loved it, and it's giving Fated Mates. Overall, I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. After that, I ended up reading Hide and Seek by Mila Crawford. This one, I was trying to give this series a second chance. I have given up. I gave this one 3 stars. This is a reverse harem. We have our heroine Stella, and then we have our heroes Axel, Ronan, and Keon. This was honestly just a spicy good old time. Get the perspectives of all the heroes, and they're just all obsessed with the heroine, and then, you know, we have a spicy good old time, okay? And that's all it was. That's all I remember. So moving on. Then I ended up picking up Valentine for My Vampire by Honey Phillips. This is actually the 5th book in this monster romance small town series. I really wanted to read this one in the month of February. It did come out February 4th, but I really wanted to read it because it is Valentine for My Vampire. You put those two together, I'm in the holiday spirit and it's a vampire romance, so I was here for it. But when I downloaded it, I realized that I had a Cupcake for My Orc already like purchased. I must have gotten it for free somehow, and so I decided to read that one first before I dove into this one, even though I didn't even read it in an order. But anyways, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I didn't love it as much as I wanted it to. We have our hero Damien and our heroine Wendy. Wendy is actually a food blogger. She goes to this small town and she goes to Damien's restaurant, and she has a very bad experience at this restaurant, so obviously she leaves an honest review and she goes about her merry way. Then we have the hero from the first book in this series' grandmother. She is on the council. She is basically the matchmaker in this town. She matchmakes every single one of the couples in this series, so she's a very prominent character in all of the books. But she goes to Damien and tells him that he needs to invite our heroine Wendy back so she could leave a positive review. He invites her back to the small town to re-experience his restaurant. Damien has been dealing with some happenings at this restaurant, like the sugar being switched out to salt, just little minor inconveniences like that that have made his restaurant kind of go downhill, and he's been trying to figure it out and he's not sure what's happening, but he thinks that he has his restaurant down in order for the heroine's 2nd visit. But when she comes by, she actually has a bad experience again, and they kind of end up having more of a conversation that leads into a relationship. This one I didn't love as much because it was giving more spooky vibes, because this story really has to do more with like a ghost in the restaurant and nothing to do with Valentine's. The only Valentine's vibes that we get is in the epilogue when when they are celebrating Valentine's, but that was like literally the epilogue, so I was kind of disappointed. I love the relationship. I thought they were cute together, but not my favorite. Then after that, I ended up reading Trouble for My Troll by Honey Phillips. I believe this is the third book in this series. This one I gave it 3 stars to as well. This one is about our hero Will and our heroine Allison. So Will is known to be a playboy in this small town. He is a mechanic and he comes back, I believe, from the city back to this small town because he needs to help out his mom because his father is in the hospital. And then we have our heroine Allison. She is moving to this small town because she recently had her heart broken and she kind of wants to get away. She's moving, trying to get a fresh start, and she actually ends up getting into a car accident with our hero, and this is where sparks fly. We kind of have a very much push and pull with these two characters. Our hero doesn't want to really start anything serious because he's planning on moving back. He doesn't want to stay in this small town. He definitely has a lot of like familial issues. And then we have our heroine who is quick to fall in love, and she's falling in love with this troll, but she doesn't want to get her heart broken again. And overall, I really enjoyed it for what it was, and I thought it was very, very cute. After that, I ended up reading Mistletoe for My Minotaur by Honey Phillips. This one I ended up giving 3 stars to as well. I definitely have my favorites of this series, which we'll talk about here in a second, but for this one, we have our hero Houston and our heroine Ginger. Houston is a Minotaur and Ginger is a human woman. Her family has lived in this small town right next to Houston's family. Houston is actually best friends with our heroine's brother, and on the day that they're gonna be moving from this small town, our heroine kisses our hero and he kind of rejects her, and she kind of leaves this small town with that being their last memory. But she comes back to this small town. I can't remember for why, but she comes back, is giving a second chance. It's always been her. The hero is the mayor of this small town, and our heroine is actually there, I believe, for some family things. She's trying to get away from a family problem, and our hero swears that he's been seeing her around town, but she's kind of been avoiding him because of the last time that they saw each other. But then she actually goes seeking his help. They do this little fake dating thing, but for him, it's not fake at all. He's not going to lose her for a second time, and he's playing for keeps. I really enjoyed it. Then we have Fireworks for My Dragon Boss by Honey Phillips. This is the last one in the series, you guys. I promise. I did end up binging the whole entire series. What can I say? I'm a series novella binger, okay? This one I ended up giving 4 stars to. I really loved this one. We have our hero Nakar and our heroine Charlotte. So Nakar is a dragon and he is an author and he's rich. He loves his gold. It definitely gives that vibe, those like dragon stereotypes with like their treasure and things. And then we have our heroine. She's actually an employee for the publishing company that the hero has a contract with. She wants to get this promotion, so she is actually on a mission to go to Nakar's house to make him kind of further along his latest book because he hasn't met the deadline for it. And so she goes to his house to like kind of help, see what she can do, and he instantly like shuts the door in her face. Like, absolutely not. He's a very grumpy hero. He likes the way his things are the way that he wants them to be, if that makes sense. He's very much a stickler for the rules, but our hero does not accept this help. But our heroine is very persistent because she doesn't want to go back with bad news. So our hero has writer's block and he's been struggling with his last book. But then we have our heroine who inspires him to write, and he is definitely attracted to her. He tries to spoil her and like mate her, and she's definitely not having it because she is an independent woman and she doesn't want to be bought. She wants to be loved. And so I really, really enjoyed this one because the hero was kind of funny, and I love a rich hero that spoils the heroine, so I loved it. After that, I ended up reading Serpentine Valentine by Gianna Darling. This one I gave it 5 stars to. It's about our heroine Lex and our other heroine Luna. This is a sapphic dark romance, dark academia vibes romance. I absolutely loved it. I did a whole reading vlog for it, so I won't go into depth here. I will link it up in the cards for you guys to check out. After that, I ended up reading Claimed by Cupid by Donna Isserly. This is actually a reread of mine. I decided to reread it because it is a Valentine's themed romance. romance. I gave it 4 stars, and it is about our hero Nick and our heroine Holly. We have the one that was Christmas themed that I read in January. It's about the same couple, and they're just kind of spending Valentine's together. It's a spicy good old time and just kind of furthering the relationship, and I just really enjoyed it. I loved it. I love them together. He is definitely a silver fox daddy hero, and Donna Italy does spice so well, so definitely 4 stars. I really loved it. After that, I ended up reading Candy Hearts by Erin McClellan. This one I gave it 4 stars too. I did decide to pick it up because it was Valentine's themed. But we have our hero Benji and our other hero William. This is an contemporary romance. Benji is a mechanic, and he has been going through it in his love life. He is actually going to be spending Valentine's alone, but there's this Valentine's Day party that his sister invited him to with a bunch of their friends, and he ends up pulling up to this house, which ends up being William's house. What Benji doesn't know is that this Valentine's Day party was postponed for the next day because there is a power outage. William kind of sees Benji's distraughtness. I don't even know if that's a word, but he sees that he's distraught, and he's like, okay, well, I'll just leave. But he was like, no, like, just come in, you know, like, it's fine, like, you can stay, but I don't have any power. And this is kind of how it starts. They are definitely attracted to each other, but Benji is really not looking for anything serious because he has been heartbroken in the past, and William is just kind of trying to take it slow for Benji. So they definitely enter this fake Valentine's scenario, and William is totally in for it, and they kind of have the most romantic Valentine's Day together. There's candles, there is sexy lingerie that Benji likes to wear, and they're just slowly falling for each other even though it's fake. And I just overall really enjoyed it. I hadn't read an romance in a while, and I definitely loved this one. After that, I ended up reading Step and Valentine by Stephanie Emerald. This one I gave it 4 stars too. I loved this one. Just thinking about it, I want to reread it. I really do. This book was actually on my Kindle Unlimited list on Amazon, but I was reminded about this Valentine's Day themed novella from a friend on Booksta, and I was like, immediately I will read. So we have our hero James Archer and our heroine Rose Valentine. They are actually step siblings. So both of them come into town because their parents have their anniversary on Valentine's Day, and they usually always have this anniversary party. James never goes though, but this time he does. They've always had this attraction to each other because they had this moment in high school, but it quickly had to, you know, not happen because their parents ended up meeting and marrying each other. So this is definitely a forbidden romance. It is spicy. We have a possessive, protective hero. I love seeing their first meeting and then having them find out that they can't be together, and it builds all of this sexual tension and all of this chemistry, and it's giving It's Always Been You vibes. So our heroine is at this Valentine's Day party, and she's having kind of a bad day because she recently broke up with her fiance. And then we have our hero, who is this very antagonistic character, and he loves to push our heroine's buttons. And you guys know that's one of my most favorite things, when the hero likes to piss the heroine off, because then their banter is just so good. And then the spice therefore is amazing. Our hero finds out about our heroine breaking up with her fiance boyfriend, and he suggests that she needs a rebound, and he offers himself on a plate, okay? And she's like, absolutely not, like, this can't happen, like, we're step siblings, like, no. But you know that it does happen, and it's a spicy good old time. The mouth on this man, y'all, if y'all like that, this one's so good. And I just love the way that he talks to her. He calls her Valentine, and he is just super possessive and protective, and I just eat it up. It's always been her. It's always been her. They get each other like nobody else. I absolutely love this one. After that, I started my Wraith Kings read-along reading. I did do a whole reading vlog for the Wraith Kings series. I will definitely leave that linked up above for you guys to check out. The books that I read in that reading vlog are Radiance by Grace Draven, Eidolon by Grace Draven, and The Epos King by Grace Draven. I absolutely loved all 3 of those books. I had the best time reading all of them. It has recently brought me into my fantasy romance love, and I'm just in it right now, and I'll definitely check out that reading vlog. After that, I ended up reading Tangling with the Boss by Cassie Mint. This one came out in February, and I was highly anticipating it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really loved it for what it was. I think I might have a little bit overhyped it in my head, but overall, I loved it. We have our hero Leo and our heroine Hazel. Hazel has been Leo's assistant for a really long time, and our heroine has definitely had this crush on our hero, but our hero is like literally the grumpiest of the grumps. He's very hard to please, and he's sometimes mean. He's grumpy, okay? But our heroine can't do this anymore, and she ends up giving our hero her resignation letter. And when our hero sees this letter, he's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, I can't live without you. Like, I can't do this without you. Like, you are my brightest star. Like, you are the highlight of my day. It is so good. It is so good. He refuses to let our heroine go, and he asks her to stay. He's like, I'll pay you more. Like, what do you want? Like, you need to stay. And she's like, no, I can't do this no more, because she loves him. And like, there's all this pining, and he's like slowly seeing that he is in love with her too, but he always thought that he was incapable of love. So he proceeds to show her that he needs her, and he proceeds to spoil her and be there for her and do all of these things for her. It is just the best time. It's so cute. It's cute. It's spicy. It's everything that I wanted. I really loved it. Then I ended up reading Stocking Stuffers by Erin McClellan. This one I gave 4 stars to. This is about our hero Perry and our heroine Sasha. So our heroine is the sister of Benji from the Candy Hearts one. Sasha actually was left at the altar. She was going to have a Christmas wedding, and then her fiance called it off. So she's literally, no love for me, not no more. I don't believe in it. So she's definitely a heroine who is reluctant to love, but she is doing this like promotional thing because she is the marketer. Is that a word? She is the one who markets these sex toys. That is her best friend's company. I don't know if that made any sense. My words are my words are leaving me. But yeah, she markets these sex toys, and she goes to this like holiday book club party, and she is showing this romance book club all of these sex toys and explaining them, and kind of has this like pop-up shop. She is planning to leave, but she actually gets snowed in. Our hero ends up pulling up to the bed and breakfast because this is owned by him and his sister. Our hero is actually moving back to this small town, and he's staying at this bed and breakfast at the same time that our heroine is. Our hero pursues our heroine, and she kind of shuts him down but offers a sexy arrangement instead, and our hero takes it because he will have anything that our heroine offers him, even though he wants the romance. He is a romantic. He wants the love. He believes in the love, but our heroine doesn't. And they have this whirlwind weekend. I love this so much. I think this one could have been maybe a 5 stars, but I did feel like the heroine was super mean to our hero, especially because, not super mean, but like there was obviously this push and pull where she kept saying like, I don't want to hurt you, like don't fall in love with me too much because I can't do that, like I can't give you that. And he was like, yeah, I understand, but like I'll take whatever you want to give me. And in his thoughts and his POV, he's like falling for her. So like I felt so bad for the hero, so I kind of knocked it down a little bit, but I think it was very enjoyable. It really gave like the Christmas winter vibes with it being a snowed in romance, but I definitely recommend. I think it was a fun one. And Erin McClellan, she does spice really well as well. After that, I ended up reading Same Time Next Year by Tessa Bailey. I had completely forgotten that I had this. Like I completely forgot. But like I downloaded it and got it for free, and I told myself I was gonna read it in the new year, and then I just forgot. This is a novella, and I gave this one 4 stars. I truly loved it. I mean, I love anything by Tessa Bailey, come on. But we have our heroine Britta, and then we have our hero Sumner. So Britta is a bartender. She has been working at this bar for a really long time, and then her half brother is actually a hockey player, and he's on this hockey team. One of the hockey players is Sumner. So Sumner and Britta kind of have been friends for a really long time, and he's always been there and been helpful towards her. So Sumner is actually not from the United States. I believe he's from Canada, and so he needs a green card. Is that what it is? Britta's half brother suggests that she gets married to Sumner, that way that he can get his green card and end up staying, especially for hockey. And Sumner is like, Britta, like don't even listen to him, like I wasn't gonna ask, like it's fine. But in his POV, he's been madly in love with Britta for the longest time, and he's definitely been pining. He's definitely obsessed with her. He wasn't gonna ask and like ruin what they already have, but this conversation ends up bringing up a form of payment, and Britta is considering this fake marriage because she wants the money to purchase this bar. And it was so good. I loved every single scene in here. I loved how slowly the heroine fell in love with our hero and kind of started to believe and trust in him. And I loved being in our hero's POV because he is so obsessed with her. And overall, overall, it was a good time. Then I ended up reading Petty Cupid by Sarah Blue. This one I gave 4 stars to. We have our hero Death. He is a Grim Reaper. And we have our heroine Love. She is a Cupid. So Love was in a previous relationship with this other Cupid. He ends up dumping her. He's already with somebody new and she wants to get revenge on him. And there's this party that Cupids have every Valentine's Day where they like give out awards, and she's going to win an award, but she doesn't want to pull up by herself. So she is looking at other supernaturals to see who she wants to kind of go with, and nobody is fitting the description that she wants. So she ends up trying a Grim Reaper and she runs into Death. They end up making this arrangement where Death will go to this party with Love, and Love will give him 3 love arrows. And so I thought that was really fun with the plot of the hero like choosing couples that he wants arrows shot at. I loved seeing how different Death is pulling up to this party all about love and pink and red, and he's just like in all black and like this bad boy vibe. I truly really loved it. The spice was really good, and I thought the romance was very solid. There's a little bit of a miscommunication there at the end, but I thought it was handled well. I didn't mind it. I thought it was cute. It was a really fun time, and it fed my Valentine's Day heart. And then we get into A Heart for Valentine's Day by Lexi Esme. I got this rec from a TikToker, added it to my TBR immediately, and immediately started reading it because it had to do with Valentine's, and I was in my Valentine's era, okay? This one I ended up giving 5 stars to. I even spoke about this book on my IG story, y'all. Like, that's how much I loved it. We have our hero Aviel, and we have our heroine Adora. So Adora's sister has this heart condition, and she is literally dying. Adora is like, absolutely not. Her sister has always been like her parent figure, her sister, the one family member that she has. Her sister has done so much for her that she just feels like she needs to do something for her sister and save her life. And so she's looking on like the dark web. She's looking on the dark web. She's like trying to get organs, like she's trying to get a heart, okay, because she needs a heart transplant. And so she meets up with this sketchy ass dude, but he's like, I can't do it because I can give you this heart in this amount of time. And she's like, no, I need this heart now. Like, I can't wait. Like, my sister needs this heart. He's like, that's the quickest that I can do. Like, I'm sorry. And so she ends up leaving, but then the receptionist of that other sketchy dude ends up giving her the information of Aviel. Aviel is a demon. He does these bargains, and he ends up helping Adora get a heart for her sister. She enters this contract. Money needs to be paid by a certain amount of time. Done deal. So I really love this because our hero was so different. First of all, the writing was beautiful. The connection that I had with the writing, instant. Okay, I loved it. I was invested. I just loved seeing how the hero viewed our heroine and how he can like smell the desperation and knew that he could easily sink his claws into her. He's evil, okay? He's a little evil. And I was just eating it up, and like the way that he looks, I mean, look at this cover. And then we have this gorgeous black heroine. Oh my God, I was eating it up. So our hero obviously ends up helping our heroine, and while the sister is getting her heart transplant, our hero actually ends up being there for the heroine. Like, he is not supposed to be in proximity with the heroine. Like, he doesn't need to do all of these things that he's doing for our heroine, but he has this attraction and this connection and this pull to our heroine that he can't help himself and be in her orbit. You guys, you just know I eat that up. Our heroine is definitely scared of our hero because she knows that he's not entirely human. And so definitely Adora is a little bit more on the slower side of falling in love. But throughout this book, Aviel does things to make the heroine need him. He literally is like sabotaging her life so that she could never not need him. You know what I mean? And like, because he wants to keep her forever. He is doing all of these things because he is this bad demon, but he is falling in love with our heroine, and our heroine is falling in love with him because of the things that the hero is doing and the way that he's helping her out. And just, y'all, it is so good. I definitely think you guys should read it. If you guys read any of these books, I mean, all my 5 stars, you guys should read because I love them. But this is a novella length book. The spice is amazing. It is so hot. Lexi Esme is an author that I definitely will be keeping an eye out for whenever she drops new releases. I just love a bad boy falling for a woman. Like, I eat it up, you guys. I ate this book up. After that, I read Threads of Fate by Lexi Esme. This is another book by this author. I ended up giving it 4 stars. This is about our hero Cephas and our heroine Rianne. So our heroine is in the process of getting a ride from her boss to her house, but things are feeling a little bit creepy. The boss is not taking the route to her house, and so she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, like, it's finally time, like, we're meant to be together, like that. Like, he's a stalker. He's been stalking her and making shit up in his head, and he's basically with the intention of sexually assaulting her. And so he's taking her to these woods, and they kind of get into this car accident where they hit this tree. She ends up being able to get out of this car, and she's like running through the woods trying to escape him, but he's giving chase. She ends up like screaming for help, and she falls into this hole that is like a deep hole. The boss ends up falling into this hole as well, and she's just terrified for her life, okay? Then we have our hero, Cephas. He is a literal half man, half spider. Yeah. And so he ends up killing the boss, and she thinks that she's next, but he ends up saving her and taking her out of this hole. She kind of has this connection to him, but she's also like too scared to fully process this connection. But she like thanks him, and she goes home and she's like processing everything that just happened to her. She is feeling all of these things, and she ends up calling out the hero's name, and he ends up appearing in her apartment. And this only happens when they are true mates. And so he automatically is like, oh, we're married, like you are my bride. And it goes from there. This was so good. The spice in this one was so good as well. The hero is definitely able to transform. He is literally the type of hero that he builds himself around what the heroine needs. He makes himself the perfect man for our heroine, and he is just like worshiping the ground that our heroine walks on, and we love to see it. And I love to read it, and I loved this book so much. We definitely have our hero who is struggling with his lust because he is a very lustful creature. He thinks that he's going to consume her and basically kill her, and so they kind of have to deal with that. Overall, I think that it was a very unique story. I loved the plot, and I loved the romance, and the spice was amazing. I overall just enjoyed the heck out of this book, and this cover too. So good. After that, I ended up reading Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I'm not even going to talk about this one because I am doing a new releases reading vlog for you guys, and I do read that book in that vlog. The vlog is yet to come up, but just stay tuned. I don't want to give my rating. You guys know, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Yeah, I read that. But moving on, then I read No Sugarcoating It by D.E.J. Russo. This one I also got from a TikToker on TikTok. This one is giving Valentine's Day vibes, so I decided to read it. I gave it 4 stars. I really loved it. We have our hero Byron and our heroine Faith. We have Byron, who is a office guy. I think he's an accountant. I could be totally wrong though. He's definitely a playboy hero. He knows that he's attractive and he can get any piece of ass that he wants, in his words. Obviously, he's not that good of a guy, okay? He's not a good hero. He definitely has a bad reputation, if you will. Then we have our heroine, Faith. She is a demon, and she has not been torturing enough souls. So she sets up this bakery right in front of this corporate building that Byron works at. He sees the bakery, sees our heroine, thinks that she is so attractive. He's like, I want to get with her. So he goes into this bakery, and our heroine instantly sees that his soul is kind of black, and she's like, oh, okay, this is the soul that I'm going to torture so that I can up my souls in hell and get this promotion. Once she has him in her claws, she is unable to full on torture him, so she decides to try to help him turn his life and like his soul around in a positive way. So we have this femme-dom dynamic. We have our heroine who is the dominant and our hero is the submissive, and our heroine is basically torturing him pleasurably. Is that a word? I'm not sure. I'm just saying all kinds of words in this video. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. It was really good. I really loved it. Last book that I read in the month of February. This is a long video. I read Wet Dreams by Lexi Esme. This is actually the last book in her backlist. So she came out with Wet Dreams first, then she came out with Threads of Fate, and then she came out with A Heart for Valentine's Day. So I kind of read them backwards. But Wet Dream, I gave 3 stars to. The ratings kind of went down, but that's okay. I still am going to read everything and anything that Lexi Esme comes out with, and obviously her writing and her stories have gotten better and longer longer. I just can't wait to see what more she can come up with. But with Wet Dreams, we have our hero Raphael and we have our heroine Dayan. So Dayan ends up at the beginning of the book breaking up with her shitty ass ex, and that same night she has this sex dream. And in this sex dream, she is basically having sex with Raphael, but she doesn't know it's Raphael at the time in the dream, but she just knows it's this fine ass man. Okay, and so the next day she meets up with her friend, and her friend is telling her like, thank God that you already broke up with your ex, like finally you need to get back out there. There's this single party at this hotel, you should go. And so our heroine is very reluctant, so she ends up going to the singles party, and she ends up seeing the guy from her dreams, and she's like shook that she sees this guy at this party when she just saw him in her dreams. You know what I mean? I would have been a little bit more sussed out than she was, but you know, for the plot. Our hero, Raphael, is actually a succubus, and he ends up having this sex dream with our heroine and instantly is like, oh, she's my mate because I haven't been able to get his needs done elsewhere. And so he sees her at this party and he's like, you're mine, like we're about to have the best time. And they kind of have this amazing like date getaway weekend. They do have a lot of spicy times, so it was really good. The plot was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. This one was more of a like fast, easy, spicy read, but it wasn't anything that I loved, you know, so I gave it 3 stars. Those were all of the books that I ended up reading in the month of February. Let me know what your favorite read of February was, and if you want to leave any of that, then go ahead and just leave me any pink emoji down below in the comments for Valentine's Day, since I read so many Valentine's Day themed books. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.